Have you ever wondered why some people live beyond 100 while others fade much earlier? Is it luck? Good genetics? Expensive health care? What if I told you the real secret could be found in something far simpler, something you already do every single day, but probably without even thinking about it? My name is Dr. Samuel Grant. I'm 102 years old, born and raised in California, and for over 75 years, I dedicated my life to caring for thousands of elderly patients, learning from their struggles, their habits, and their triumphs. Today, I'm going to reveal to you the 10 morning rituals that I believe shaped not only my own journey to a long, vibrant life, but also the lives of countless others who defied the odds of aging. These aren't expensive treatments. They're not trendy hacks. They're simple choices. Tiny seeds planted each morning, blossoming into decades of strength, joy, and purpose. Stay with me, because just one small change in your morning routine could be the turning point for the next 50 years of your life. Let's start with the very first habit that changed everything for me. They say timing is everything. But when it comes to living longer, I've found that waking up with the sun, not an alarm clock, might just be the greatest timing trick of all. For most of my life, I didn't wake up to the shrill buzz of a machine. I woke up to light, a soft golden light of dawn spilling into my room, nudging me awake, like an old friend whispering, "It's time." Since my early 30s, I have been rising naturally with the sunrise, around 5:30 every morning. No alarms, no rush, no battle with the snooze button. And believe me, this small choice made all the difference. When you wake with the sun, you're honoring your body's circadian rhythm, the ancient clock inside you that knows exactly when to repair your cells, when to boost your energy, and when to rest. Modern science backs this up. Research shows that people who live in harmony with natural light cycles tend to have lower risks of heart disease, better metabolic health, and even stronger emotional resilience. But beyond the science, there's something deeply soulful about it. Waking up with the sun feels like starting each day with a quiet promise that you're part of something bigger, older, and wiser than any to-do list or deadline. Each morning, as the first light kissed my window, I felt it. A chance to begin again. I often think of the thousands of patients I cared for over the years. Many of those who lived the longest weren't necessarily the wealthiest or the strongest. They were the ones who respected the natural rhythms of life, who knew when to rise, when to move, and when to rest, just like the earth itself. So tomorrow morning, I invite you, before reaching for your phone, before rushing into your day, simply pause. Open your eyes gently. Notice the soft light filtering in. Let it be your first greeting, because small habits like these, repeated day after day, are what quietly build a life that lasts not just longer, but deeper, richer, and more joyful. And speaking of first habits, once your eyes are open, there's one more small act, so simple yet so powerful, that can refresh every cell in your body and set the tone for everything that follows. Let's talk about that next. After waking with the sun, there's one ritual I've never skipped, not a single day for the past 50 years, and that is reaching for a glass of water before anything else. Most people underestimate what happens to their bodies overnight. As you sleep, you lose moisture through breathing, sweating, even the natural metabolic work your body does to heal and rebuild. By morning, you are gently dehydrated, even if you don't feel thirsty yet. And that's why what you drink first thing truly matters. Every morning, the first thing I do, before coffee, before breakfast, even before speaking, is drink a full glass of warm water, sometimes with a splash of lemon. It's simple, it's free, and it's one of the most powerful gifts you can offer your body. Water doesn't just quench thirst. It jump-starts your digestion. It flushes out the toxins your organs filtered overnight. It tells every cell in your body, wake up. Let's start fresh. I remember once treating a patient, Mrs. Evelyn, a vibrant 91-year-old gardener, who had remarkably clear skin, strong energy, and barely needed medication. Her secret? She started every day with 2 glasses of water before she even set foot outside. She used to smile and say, "It's how I water my own roots." When you think about it that way, it makes sense. If you would never expect a plant to thrive without water each morning, why expect your body to? So tomorrow, try this simple shift. Before coffee, before emails, before rushing into your day, drink a tall glass of water. Feel it nourish you from the inside out, because longevity isn't just about avoiding illness. It's about cultivating small, life-giving habits that quietly build up inside you, drop by drop, day after day. And now that we've awakened the body and nourished it, it's time to awaken something even more powerful, the mind. In the next part, I'll share a morning practice that rewires your brain for happiness and adds invisible years to your life. Once your body is awake and refreshed, there's one more part of you that needs just as much care: your mind. And over the years, I've learned that how you start thinking in the morning shapes everything that follows. For decades, every morning after drinking my water, I would sit quietly for just 5 minutes. No phone, no news, no rushing thoughts about my schedule. Just stillness, breathing, gratitude. This simple act, what many today call mindfulness, was my way of telling my brain, "You're safe. You're strong. Let's move forward with calm and purpose." You see, when you rush into stress, emails, news headlines, to-do lists, your brain floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone that accelerates aging. But when you start your day with mindfulness, you switch on a different system, one that promotes healing, focus, and even joy. I remember one particular morning when I was still working at the hospital, facing a day packed with difficult cases. Instead of diving straight into the chaos, I took 5 minutes to sit by the window, breathing slowly, naming 3 things I was grateful for. And somehow, that small ritual changed everything. The day didn't get easier, but I handled it better. I smiled more. I listened more. And by the end of the day, I still had energy left to laugh with my grandchildren. It's incredible how a habit so small can ripple through your entire life. Tomorrow morning, after you wake and drink your water, I invite you to sit still, even for just 2 minutes. Breathe. Think of 3 good things, no matter how small: a roof over your head, the smell of coffee, the warmth of a new day. Because in those tiny moments of mindfulness, you're not just calming your mind. You're reprogramming your entire nervous system for resilience, for clarity, for a life that doesn't just survive, but thrives. And once your mind is centered, your body will be ready to move in ways that spark even more vitality. In the next part, I'll show you the gentle movements I've practiced for decades to stay strong, flexible, and full of life, no matter what the calendar says. Before I take a single step out of bed each morning, there's a ritual I quietly honor, one that's been as essential to my longevity as breathing itself. I stretch. Not the heavy, athletic kind you see in gyms, but slow, gentle, deliberate movements, honoring the fact that after hours of stillness, my body needs kindness before it needs action. You see, when we sleep, our muscles tighten, our joints stiffen. Our circulation slows down to rest and repair. If you jump straight out of bed and rush into your day, it's like trying to sprint with a car engine that's still cold. You're not just risking soreness, you're risking injury. Small tears, inflammation, wear and tear that silently accumulates over the years. So every morning I start with my shoulders, rolling them slowly, then my spine, twisting gently side to side. My ankles, my wrists, waking them up as if greeting old friends. It doesn't take long, maybe 7 minutes in total. But those 7 minutes have added more grace, more balance, more life to my days than I can ever measure. I remember one of my oldest friends, George. We served together during the war. At 90, he could still walk a mile with ease, while others his age struggled with canes and walkers. His secret wasn't complicated. He said to me once, with a wink, "Sam, I treat my body like an old clock. Gotta wind it up gently each morning before it ticks strong all day." He was right. Your body is a masterpiece. But like any masterpiece, it needs careful handling, especially in those tender moments between sleep and wakefulness. So tomorrow, before your feet even touch the floor, give yourself a gift. Stretch. Breathe into your muscles. Move like you're waking up a beautiful machine that's about to carry you through another extraordinary day. Because when you start your day moving mindfully, you don't just prevent aches and pains. You remind yourself that your body is not your enemy. It's your oldest, most faithful companion. And once your body is warmed and ready, it's time to step outside and take a few powerful steps toward a longer, more vibrant life. In the next part, I'll share why a simple morning walk could be the best prescription you'll ever write yourself. They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But when it comes to longevity, that single step, taken with purpose, taken every morning, could make all the difference in how long and how well you live. After I stretch and breathe life back into my muscles, I do something even simpler. I walk. Nothing fancy, nothing competitive, just a slow, steady walk around my garden or down the quiet street in my neighborhood. Science now tells us what I've felt for decades in my bones. Regular walking doesn't just strengthen your heart and your lungs. It sharpens your mind. It balances your blood sugar. It reduces inflammation, boosts immunity, and even elevates your mood. But beyond all the data, walking is a conversation between your body and the earth. Each step saying, I am still here. I am still moving forward. I remember one of my favorite patients, Mr. Lewis, who lived to 104. Every single morning, rain or shine, he walked exactly 15 minutes around his block. Neighbors would wave. Children would sometimes join him, and he would smile and say, if you want life to keep moving, you have to keep moving too. It didn't matter how far he went. It mattered that he went. Tomorrow morning after you stretch, slip on your most comfortable shoes. Step outside if you can, or even pace gently through your living room if you can't. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever your body allows, because movement is medicine, not the kind you buy in bottles, the kind you create with your own 2 feet. And as your body begins to hum with new energy, there's something else you must be mindful of, what you choose to fuel it with next. Because what you eat after you move can either amplify your vitality or quietly drain it away. If movement sets your body in motion, food is what fuels the journey. But not all fuel is created equal, and not every breakfast that fills you up is actually setting you up for a longer, healthier life. For years, I watched patients, good people, smart people, start their day with the wrong kinds of food, sugary cereals, processed breakfast bars, fast food drive-thrus on the way to work. It was like putting muddy water into a delicate engine and wondering why it coughed and stalled later. I learned early on that real food, whole, natural, close to the earth, was the difference between feeling sluggish by noon and feeling vibrant through sunset. My mornings? They've been remarkably simple. A bowl of oatmeal topped with fresh berries, a handful of almonds, maybe a few slices of apple or pear. Sometimes just a plain slice of whole grain toast with a little olive oil. Nothing processed. Nothing wrapped in shiny plastic. I think often of a woman named Maria, a school teacher who stayed sharp and full of energy into her late 90s. Every day, she prepared her own breakfast, fresh fruits, some yogurt, a sprinkle of seeds, simple, nourishing, real. And when you spoke to her, you could feel that vitality in every word she said. Clear, thoughtful, joyful. Real food doesn't just feed your body. It nourishes your brain. It strengthens your immune system. It lays the bricks for every healthy day that follows. So tomorrow, when you reach for breakfast, ask yourself a simple question. Did this come from the earth or from a factory? Because when you choose real foods, you choose to invest in your future, one wholesome bite at a time. And speaking of investing in your future, the next small choice we'll explore is not about what you eat, but about how much. Because even the best foods, if eaten carelessly, can quietly shorten the journey you're working so hard to extend. When it comes to eating, most people think about what's on their plate, but very few pause to think about how much they're putting on it. In my early years practicing medicine, I noticed a quiet but powerful pattern among my oldest patients. They weren't just careful about what they ate. They were careful about how much. They respected the idea that the body thrives not on fullness, but on balance. Modern science now confirms what ancient wisdom knew all along. Overeating taxes your organs, spikes your blood sugar, and accelerates the aging process. Your stomach isn't meant to be stretched to its limits every morning. It's meant to be gently satisfied, just enough to energize you, not to weigh you down. In my own life, I follow a simple rule. I stop eating when I'm about 80% full. A bowl of oatmeal, a handful of nuts, a few slices of fruit. Enough to feel light, awake, and ready. Not sluggish, not stuffed. I think often of Mr. Yamada, a man I met during a trip to Okinawa many years ago. He lived well past 100 and credited much of his vitality to a simple practice they call harahachi bu. Eat until you're 80% full. Watching him move, steady, graceful, full of life, was like seeing proof that wisdom, when lived, turns into strength. Tomorrow, as you sit down to breakfast, try a little experiment. Serve yourself slightly less than usual. Eat slowly. Listen for that gentle, satisfied signal from your body, not the aching fullness many of us have come to accept as normal. And if you try it, I'd love to hear how it feels. Share your experience in the comments below. Maybe tell me what small shift you noticed, or how your body responded. You never know. Your story might inspire someone else on their journey too. Because small shifts in how we eat, how we move, how we breathe, are how great lives are quietly built. And speaking of building a great life, the next habit we'll explore might just be the most underestimated secret of all. The invisible power of human connection. If food nourishes your body, relationships nourish your soul. And sometimes, the quiet strength of a simple good morning can carry more weight than the healthiest breakfast. For a long time, people thought longevity was mostly about diet and exercise. But the deeper I traveled into the lives of those who lived the longest, the clearer one truth became. Strong human connections are just as essential as strong muscles or strong hearts. Loneliness, researchers now tell us, is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It creeps in silently, weakens your immune system, steals your hope, and chips away at your will to thrive. That's why, for the past several decades, I've made it a point, even on the busiest mornings, to reach out. A text message, a quick phone call, a handwritten note left on my kitchen counter for my daughter to find. Because connection isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, steady touches that remind both you and the people you love. We're not alone. I remember my dear friend Margaret, who lived to 101. Every morning after breakfast, she would sit by her window and call one person, a grandchild, a niece, an old neighbor. Some days the calls were short. Some days they turned into long, laughing conversations. But every day, her heart stayed open. And that openness, I'm convinced, helped keep her alive and vibrant far longer than medicine ever could. Tomorrow morning, after you've nourished your body, take a moment to nourish a relationship. Send a kind message. Smile at a neighbor. Pick up the phone and say, "I was thinking about you." And if you do, I invite you to share it below. Tell us in the comments. Who will you reach out to tomorrow morning? Sometimes a small act of kindness can spark a ripple that travels further than you'll ever know. Because living long isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. And speaking of adding life, the next small shift we'll explore is perhaps the most powerful of all. The choice to see your world through the lens of optimism. They say we become what we repeatedly do. But I believe we also become what we repeatedly believe. Just as you train your muscles with stretching and walking, you can train your mind every morning. To see possibility, to expect joy, to build hope, even on the hardest days. Optimism isn't something you're born with. It's something you practice. It's a muscle you strengthen, one small thought at a time. Every morning, after my walk, I sit quietly for just a moment longer. And I ask myself one simple question. What beautiful thing might happen today? It's amazing what that tiny shift does. Instead of bracing for stress, my mind opens like a window. I start to notice things I might have missed. A kind smile from a stranger, a bird singing in the garden, the feel of the sun on my face. I remember Clara, one of my oldest patients, who lived to 106. When I asked her once how she kept her spirit so bright, even after losing her husband and two of her closest friends, she laughed and said, "Dr. Grant, I wake up every morning expecting life to surprise me. And it always does, in little ways if I'm willing to look. That, to me, is the real miracle. Not just living longer, but living lighter. Not dragging yourself through the years, but dancing with them. Tomorrow morning, after you've moved your body and connected with someone you love, try asking yourself Clara's question. What beautiful thing might happen today? And if you spot something, even the smallest good thing, I would love for you to share it in the comments. Let's create a space where hope multiplies. Because optimism isn't blind. It doesn't ignore life's hardships. It simply insists on seeing the light, even when shadows fall. And as we build stronger minds and lighter hearts, it's time to pause and gather the deepest lessons from this entire journey. In the next part, I'll share the biggest reflections from over a century of mornings and what they can mean for your life today. If I could sit across from my 30-year-old self, full of restless ambition, always rushing, always planning, I know exactly what I would say. Slow down. Listen to the mornings. They are whispering the secrets you will need for a lifetime. After 102 years of waking, stretching, walking, breathing, connecting, and choosing hope, I have learned that longevity isn't built in grand gestures. It's built quietly, patiently, in small choices made over and over again when no one is watching. It's not about having perfect days. It's about weaving tiny moments of care into the fabric of ordinary days, until those ordinary days become extraordinary years. I often think back to the people I was blessed to know, patients, friends, even strangers, who lived vibrant lives well into their 90s and beyond. Not one of them lived without hardship, but every single one chose to meet each morning with a kind of quiet courage. They chose to move even when it hurt. They chose to love even after loss. They chose to smile even when the world seemed heavy. And those choices, stitched together day after day, created lives of deep resilience and quiet joy. Tomorrow morning, when you wake, I hope you remember this. Every sunrise is an invitation, not just to live, but to live well. And it doesn't matter how old you are now. What matters is the next choice you make, and then the next, and then the next. Because a life worth living is not decided in years or decades. It's built one precious morning at a time. If any of these habits spoke to you today, if any small shift feels doable and hopeful, I would love to hear it. Share in the comments below. What is one morning ritual you're inspired to start? Your first step might just inspire someone else's journey too. And before we wrap up, there's one final thought I want to leave you with. A simple idea that has carried me through a century of life, and one that could carry you even further. If there's one truth I hope you carry from our time together today, it's this. You don't have to change your whole life overnight to live a longer, richer one. You only have to begin with one small morning, with one small choice, and then another, and another. Because the secret to reaching 100 years and loving every step along the way isn't hidden in expensive treatments or complicated routines. It's in how you greet the sun, how you nourish your body, how you care for your mind, how you open your heart. It's in the quiet, simple rituals that honor life itself. I'm honored you chose to spend a little part of your morning with me today, and I would love to stay connected with you as you continue your own beautiful journey. If you found even one habit today that touched your heart, or sparked a thought, or gave you hope, I invite you to leave a comment below. Tell me, what is one small shift you're excited to make tomorrow morning? And if you'd like to keep walking this road of wisdom, resilience, and quiet strength together, I'd be grateful if you subscribe to this channel. There's so much more I would love to share with you. Because no matter where you're starting from, you are already part of this journey. A journey not just to 100 years, but to a life filled with grace, vitality, and joy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing life. Until next time, stay young at heart, my friend.